Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Barry Toomey. I'll be the moderator for today's webinar to discuss precision agriculture in the digital era with our three guest speakers. Hopefully we'll be able to get everything up and running. Just get the presentation ready. Okay, so everything's running. Please be aware that the webinar is going to be recorded. It'll also be made available afterwards. And if you have any questions for the three speakers or around the topic, please add them to the Q&A section and we'll get to them at the end. So I'll just introduce our three speakers. Dr. Demetrius Agropolis. He's the assistant professor in the School of Biosystems and Food Engineering in UCD. Next up, following Demetrius, we'll have Tom Westerman. He's a product manager for Origin Digital, and he's standing in today for David Langton. And then lastly, we'll have Shanoy Chandroth, Vice President and Global Head of Digital Technology and Analytics for Olam International. The approach today is to try and promote discussion around technology and how it can be used exclusively or as part of the solution in different sectors and application fields. So after the three presentations, we're aiming to have a discussion at the end of the session. To provide a brief background to the Advanced Centre, as this is a series of webinar series that we're hosting, it was founded in 2020 with three institutes through HEA funding as part of the HCI Pillar 3 initiative, and it's in association with UCD, IT Sligo and TU Dublin to address the future skills need in the area of digital transformation. We are offering accredited courses from individual modules through to master's programs. The aim is to give flexible learning options to professional learners, and these are offered across 11 different themes. In terms of our 11 different themes, today we're going to be focusing on digital agriculture, but we're also hoping to do webinars on the other topics then over the coming weeks and months. Within these themes, there's 150 different modules that'll be made available, and also there's 25 different programs. available. These include certificates, diplomas, and master's levels awards. These offerings will evolve in the coming years to enable stacking, mixing across the different themes, to enable flexible study options, and also bundle modules together for awards from the different institutes. So look, if you have any questions around advance or anything that arises from the discussion here today, please get in touch. That's our contact email address and our website. The new website's coming at the end of March, but look, it'll give you an indication anyway of some of the courses we're offering. So it's now time to introduce our first speaker, Professor Demetrius Agropolis. If you can turn on your camera and we'll kick off with the first session today. So, Demetrius, you're with us, are you?
I am here, Barry, but I cannot really turn on my camera. I think it has been turned off by yourself.
I will. Can you enable
Even
that?
I cannot share my screen.
Okay, well, look, I've stopped sharing. You should be able to.
Yeah, no, I think I should be. No, I cannot still turn on my camera.
No, there we are.
Now it'll be fine, I think, isn't it?
Some IT issues.
That's perfect. Okay, let me. I suppose now you can see my screen, can see myself as well. Yes, thank you. Many thanks for the kind introduction, also for this really nice organization. Barry, together with Joanna, you have done really great job within the last few weeks. Thank you for that. Yeah, today we will talk about precision agriculture in the digital era, different perspective from academia, from industry. We all know that the farming industry will become more important than ever before in the next few decades. And of course, significant challenges will have to be overcome to achieve the level of agricultural productivity necessary to meet the predicted world demand for food, fiber, and fuel in 2050. Increasing productivity by 2050 will have to be made in the face of stringent constraints, including limited resources, less skilled labor, and a limited amount of arable land. Precision agriculture can be defined, a few words about it before we go deeper into the topic. Precision agriculture can be defined as an information technology-based agricultural management system to identify, analyze, and manage spatial and temporal variability within fields for optimal profitability, sustainability, and protection of the environment. It's all about understanding variability. There are too many types of variability to consider when exploring how precision agriculture may be useful for a farming operation. Temporal variability, the variability in soil, crop, and environmental attributes that occurs within a certain area, different measurement times, and spatial variability, the variability in soil, crop, and landscape or environmental attributes that occurs across a certain area. Therefore, precision agriculture is a concept to reduce, I would say, decision uncertainty, to do the right thing at the right place and at the right time. As a management tool, precision agriculture consists of 4 elements: geographical positioning systems, gathering information, decision support, and variable rate treatment. Yield mapping could be regarded as a 5th component in which yield mapping enables the farmer to monitor the actual outcome from varying inputs. However, yield mapping is also a tool that enables information to be gathered about previous years on yield, which can be used as a decision support for designing the next input strategy. Several technologies that are enabled, that are related to precision farming have emerged from GPS systems, as said, yield mapping, smart sensors, and auto steering systems. These systems should ideally enable the farmer to increase yield, save nutrients, and replace labor in time with efficient sensing and decision support systems along the crop cycle. It's always difficult to set, of course, the borders of precision agriculture, as different elements of precision agriculture may be applied in different cropping systems and with different combinations of technology. There is, however, one core element that seems to be a part of all of these individual technologies, and that is the GPS that enables site-specific treatment by the farmer. It is worth mentioning here that the development and implementation of precision farming techniques started in the middle of the 90s, and the availability of satellite GPS for non-military use in combination with new robust electronic hardware on agricultural machinery for harsh operation conditions were the foundation for several precision farming applications. Precision agriculture, as said, is known as site-specific agriculture or site-specific management. There is a large list of important components of a farming operation for which it might be useful to have data on the extent of variability, as said before, such as soil properties, pest and disease outbreaks, and crop yield will vary on each farm. And therefore, local knowledge about variability in these parts of the farming systems can be used to build specific crop management strategies. Some properties that are recorded in field maps are temporarily constant, others are not constant over time at all. Therefore, the specific crop management strategies can be used to identify and treat any areas where yield potential can be improved, or to better match input used to the natural variation in yield potential across a field or farm. Just to give some specific examples, maps about texture or organic matter, content of soil can be regarded as being up to date for a long time and therefore can be used for many years. To a somewhat a lesser extent, this also applies to maps about pH of soils, but there are other many soil and crop properties that do not allow to use the same map for several consecutive field operations or years. For example, the plant available nitrogen or water content in soils can change within some days, and the same applies to growth stages or infestations of crops with fungi or insects. The ideal control technique in this particular case for specific site-specific operations when the soil or crop properties change fast in time is online real-time sensing combined with on-the-go adjustment of the farm machine. And this technique, of course, allows for the best temporal precision that is possible. Another advance was therefore here the development for smart agriculture, including real-time systems, sensor fusion and analysis of information and decision support. And the new principle was that the site-specific variable rate application was conducted by real-time sensor technology, being able to substitute costly and time-consuming soil sampling and with subsequent mapping processes, of course. Automatic steering systems, as we see here in section control, push smart agriculture also to a higher level of automation. And of course, all these developments lead to relieve the farmers from planning, but also contribute to a better decision support and higher accuracy in the manipulation of application process. Indeed, smart agriculture is a reality. Here, the figure summarizes the result of a study carried out by the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, on the adoption rates of numerous precision agriculture and agricultural data management tools currently available. Farmers responding to the survey have widely adopted many commonly available technologies, including, I would say, soil sampling and computer high-speed internet access. This result was a little bit vague, but if it's particularly used for precision agriculture, but okay, others like yield monitors and maps and GPS guidance systems were the next most common practices, with more than 80% adoption rates. Also, guidance systems are popular not just to facilitate precision application, but to improve field efficiency and reduce driver fatigue. Also, guidance systems facilitate the use of photo steering, as we saw before, and automatic section controls. Another technology, PA technology, was the variable rate technology that was also widely adopted at 68%, I would say. Satellite imaging here or plant sensing are less widely adopted, although new developments nowadays in the use of drones could increase the interest in using imaging for scouting, analysis, and management decision. What I would like to show you here, that was actually the previous technology infrastructure that we had was quite limited, just a computer as you see here. But nowadays, in recent years, technologies and tools used in precision agriculture are widely combined with cloud computing, Internet of Things, big data, and of course, robots. And such technologies produce a massive amount of data capable of changing the current status of the agri-food sector. But of course, a series of effective actions have to be established for their efficient exploitation. And also emerging image processing techniques adopt neural networks and deep learning approaches for providing new areas of application in the field of computer vision. With the overall aim here is of all these developments to provide new opportunities in managing farms and optimizing processes in order to gain benefits in resource efficiency, environmental protection, and of course, economic viability. In digital agriculture, all former mention about precision and smart agriculture is still valid, but new components are added. In precision agriculture, for example, the overall aim was to describe the complex field condition in a more precise and comprehensive way, but computational power or data storage capabilities were limited. This has changed today, I would say, due to the technological advances and due to technological advances that really sure that this will improve gradually also in the future. For the implementation of digital agriculture, 4 components are of high interest: the IoT, Internet of Things, M2M, machine-to-machine communication, cloud computing, big data analysis, and artificial intelligence, and of course, autonomous vehicles as robots. These 4 components will allow automated data communication between machines, will provide sufficient and easily accessible data storage, will allow the use of the latest artificial intelligence methods in data analysis, and also will offer new machinery on the highest automation levels. The Internet of Things, I would say, will not only be a way to better measure and control growth factors like irrigation or fertilizer on a farm, but it will also change how we view agriculture in its entirely, leading to centrality of data inside in future farming solutions. As far as the digital agriculture ecosystem is concerned, we know that the agricultural value chain has already entered an era of digital enabled processes where data can be generated during all operations related to agricultural food production, post-harvest processing, transportation, and storage, even beyond. Agriculture and food production are becoming increasingly data-driven, and the digital agriculture in turn goes beyond primary production and influences the whole supply chain. I would say that digital agriculture expands from the strict limits of the farm location and affects a series of related fields, such as supply chain management, food availability, and even biodiversity. All these fields have significant benefits, of course, when they follow a data-driven approach, under the condition that the systems, tools, and techniques used have been designed to handle the volume, but foremost the variety of the data gathered. Technology nowadays, we have seen some examples already, can be applied for gathering data from vast networks in real time, transmit this data to cloud, develop large data banks, undertake data analytics to deliver mined and collated data to stakeholders in real time. In this way, the supply chain actors can address their needs and increase awareness of production processes by having a full version of the exact amount of input used at each production stage, like machine fleet and implements use, yield production, possible operational inefficiencies, economic and environmental impact of their practices, and last but not least, in-field working conditions. Obviously, this transition of precision agriculture to big data enabled applications in different stages of the value chain would contribute to a huge innovation boost and consequently to a drastically improved productivity and sustainability of a global as well as regional and local food systems. However, here I need to note that this the foreseen transition to digital farming, to digital agriculture, and to data-driven agricultural processes opens a variety of concerns among data originators, data providers, and data users about the privacy, protection, intellectual property, and the use of farm-related data. This is I would say, this is one of the core issues for many farmers on their decision to adopt new technologies. I would say that the farmer is still the main data originator, but if a contractor is involved, he may also become a data originator as well. This is aspects that can be discussed later also with the industry partners. One of my last slides, just to keep within this 15 minutes time frame that I have, just to highlight here that there are several startups dealing with digital agriculture aspects. We can see here the ecosystem, the agricultural technology market map, more than 100 startups powering the future of farming, I would say, in agribusiness. Startups dealing with farm management software, including software that allows farmers to more efficiently manage their resources, crop production, farm animals, so on, as an example. Or precision agriculture and predictive data analytics, or sensors. That startups in the sensor category include Arable, or which offers smart sensors that collect data and help farmers monitor crop health, weather, and soil quality. Robotics and drones, smart irrigation, next generation farms, interesting category, growing category of companies that utilize technology to provide alternative farming methods to enable farming in locations and settings that cannot support traditional farming, for example. Or marketplaces. These startup companies offer marketplaces relevant to agriculture by connecting farmers directly to suppliers or consumers without any middleman. Or e-commerce platforms, for example. And last but not least, plant data analysis. Startups are getting more granular data about plant compositions, analyzing those data to improve seed research and development and breeding as well. When we're moving towards precision livestock farming, I would say companies provide software and hardware specifically aimed at better understanding livestock, from breeding patterns to genomics. To summarize what we have discussed today, I mean, we moved from precision agriculture or precision farming, from site-specific treatments, from map-based variable rate application and automation like auto steering and section control, to smart agriculture using real-time systems, fusion and analysis of information, and decision support, and then towards digital agriculture or agriculture 4, involving more the Internet of Things, machine-to-machine communications, cloud computing, big data, artificial intelligence, and of course, robots. I would like to thank you for your attention. Happy to discuss later with all of you.
All right, look, thank you very much for your interesting talk, Demetrius. I think it's great to get a good high-level overview of, I suppose, the breadth of areas that digital agriculture is going to touch on. I suppose next up, I'd like to invite Tom Westerman from Origin Digital, and he's going to talk to us, I suppose, from the services perspective. So, yeah, Tom, we'll hand over to you now.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Barry, and the informative presentation, Demetrius. Yeah, it's a pleasure to speak to you all today. And whilst I don't have the 33.5 years experience that David would have provided, yeah, I hope I can still offer you some useful insights today. So this very brief talk will cover some of the aims and objectives and also challenges that we face in delivering decision support tools in agriculture and the huge opportunity that lies in front of us. So there are lots of stakeholders that benefit from digitally enabling agriculture, each with their own mixture of slightly differing motivations. As a crop inputs and advice organisation, Origin's focus is on our advisors and farmers. Whilst it's fair to say that historically the main focus in the industry has been on profit, which is required to pay for livelihoods, to reinvest in tools, equipment and R&D, there's now a much greater focus on the environment, sustainability and food security. Now, this shift in focus will in turn change the requirements for our decision support tools. For example, aiming to increase soil carbon for environmental benefits might not be the most profitable strategy in the short term due to potentially lower yields. However, if farmer subsidies are calculated based on soil carbon results, then this might change. As a result of these changing motivations and the priority given to each of these, the models that power our decision support tools will need to be adjusted to. Now, I say, yeah, firsthand that there are huge differences in technology between farms in every country. We can see here, a simple manual tractor and a seed drill versus a GPS modern controlled tractor with multiple products being applied through maps that are running on the in-cab computer. And as we saw in the previous presentation, some technologies are much more widely adopted than others. For instance, GPS auto steering tractors. There's a very clear benefit in reducing fuel usage, time spent in the field, and operator fatigue. Whereas others are more marginal and difficult to demonstrate. For instance, variable nitrogen from a single satellite image or an on-the-go sensor. And technology really needs to demonstrate a clear benefit over any existing solutions to convert people. There are also barriers to entry to consider. Technology is expensive. Farmers are generally not the most tech savvy. And when operations are time sensitive, it's easier to just get on and get the job done as it was done previously, rather than try and do something in a new way. And there are lots of examples where variable rate technology is on farm. Any new tractor or spreader or seed drill that's sold these days will generally have variable rate technology already in the machine. It's generally underutilized due to complexity and the knowledge and time investment required to create variable rate prescriptions, get them out to the field and have them working with the machinery. Yeah, I've spent many a time sat in a tractor cab trying various settings, configurations to get variable rate machinery working. It's not simple. Moving on to decisions, farmers and advisors are required to make lots of decisions throughout the year. They have to account for lots of external factors such as the weather, markets, and are generally under some form of time pressure. Now, farmers operate on tight margins and they need to have confidence in the decisions they make. They can have an impact on profitability and therefore business survival. Now, some decisions that farmers make are very quick and instinctive based on experience, whereas others require deeper thinking and potentially some external advice. So, and whether it's a long-term or short-term decision, so for instance, should I plant a new variety next season versus should I apply my nitrogen tomorrow or next week? The type of decision determines the data that's required. Now, digital can potentially improve all of these types of decisions by incorporating more data and also removing bias that humans, are just built in with. And trust me, farmers are sentimental and do have their favorite fields. So there are many things that we can try and influence through our crop management. Now, this influence is generally in the form of applications, and by making decisions on what we apply, how much, where, when, and how. Now, application decisions are required throughout the season in reaction to external factors, and decision support tools can support these decisions and provide recommendations. For instance, nitrogen recommendations can update throughout the season due to changes in fertilizer or grain prices, which we've seen big fluctuations in recent times. Could be determining the best seed rate to apply based on historical field performance, or advising when to spray certain crop protection products, perhaps based on BYDV or Septoria risk model that uses precise weather data. And the Contour platform that we are developing at Origin and Origin Digital is a tool that helps to support these application decisions. Now, in this day and age, as we've seen, huge quantities of data are collected. There's vast catalogues of historical satellite imagery. A lot of farmers have years and years of yield data, lots and lots of different types of weather data, all at very accurate levels. And in fact, there's just simply too much data for a human to make a clear decision from. And too many options from a decision support tool make the right option appear unclear. So decision support needs to be simple, and a simple A, B, or C is better than A to Z. Now, here we have an example of a yield map which contains a huge quantity of data points. Now, attached to each one of these data points are again multiple types of data attached. So it could be yield, crop moisture, as well as machinery data that goes along with that. And then if we then start to add more spatial data layers with a mixture of different resolutions and availability. So for our satellite imagery, that's currently restricted by cloud, compared to the technology that's available on the farm, for instance, where they have application recording or where they have yield maps. So the result is lots of data, all mismatched and not very clean. And just to highlight the complexity, imagine all the inputs and outputs on 1 square meter of soil, combination of physics, biology, and chemistry. If we take biology alone, billions of microbes and 1 gram of soil is a widely used figure that gets thrown around. And if we think about every single thing that happens in the field that has an impact, whether it's a wheel driving over the surface and compacting the soil structure, a rain shower increasing the moisture, a product application affecting the soil chemistry, cultivation increasing aeration, or a change in temperature causing a change in microbial activity, there's a lot going on, and not all of it is able to be recorded. A lot of it is not always recorded in the best way. So this is really where there is the huge opportunity for big data. Humans aren't able to process and analyze all this data. We don't farm in laboratories where we can control the external influences to understand the impact of each input at a granular level. This is where machine learning and AI is required to clean and make sense of all this data. There's a challenge for the industry around creating good, clean training data sets. And there is also a challenge around getting the right mix of computer science and agronomic knowledge together in multidisciplinary teams. And whilst big data is required to create our initial models, the farmer's own data is then required to input into the models to get a relevant answer based on local conditions, soils, climate, and more. So where are we and where do we want to get to? So I'd say descriptive and diagnostic analytics is where we are today. And we can understand what is happening and why through satellite imagery, yield maps. We can try and investigate what's happening in those areas and understand certain factors such as our soil nutrient status, organic matter, and so on. However, moving forwards, tools that provide insight and foresight will truly help to ensure profitability and sustainability. So in terms of predictive analytics, we can give a model certain inputs and get a predicted outcome, such as predicting disease risk or estimating available amount of nitrogen in the soil. We can then take action from that insight. Or prescriptive analytics, where we give a model a desired outcome and then receive recommendations. So we want to achieve a certain yield or increase our soil index with a certain target index, then receive recommendations to apply a certain product, who knows, with a certain coating or other types of product. So there'll still be lots of uncertainty, and this needs to be factored in, and decision support tools need to account for different scenarios, for instance, wet or dry seasons, and provide options to support decisions. So what is the current need? Data collection is currently difficult, and there's not always a clear benefit to growers. Pretty maps are very limited in terms of the insights and the decisions that they can support. The tools need to be simple and provide clear benefit. Overly complex tools will turn non-technical users off straight away, and competence needs to be proven to win over growers. There are large risks involved, business survival, and we need to demonstrate a large benefit, especially when it comes to convince people that they need to input more time, effort, and cost. So what does the future hold? Hopefully easy to use decision support tools help to provide a safe and secure food future. Or who knows, maybe we'll all be walking around virtual farms and metaverse, experimenting with new farming techniques on our own virtual patch of land. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom. That was really interesting. It was great to get a bit of the perspective then of the service end of things. I'd like to thank you and then invite Shinoy in from Olam Enterprises, who is probably going to give us a bit of a high-level overview then from the supply side of things and the impact of digital agriculture there. So Shinoy, I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Barry. Let me just share the screen as well, please. Okay. See my slide? Can anyone confirm, please?
Yep.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, all. Really a pleasure to present, a session on digital agriculture. This has been a topic very close to my heart. And I'm great to hear from Demetrius and also Tom. A different, more different versions of digital agriculture. And I'm sure that my story is a little bit different, but more from a corporate perspective as well. Let me quickly introduce who we are and what we do. Right? So basically, as an Olam, we are a company based out in Singapore. Set up in 1989. We source almost products from almost 5 million farmers. We operate around 60 plus countries. Serving around 17,000 plus customers, 14 R&D centers, almost 75 plus manufacturing facilities. We reached an Fortune 500 company as of last year, growing, 30 years old. Quite fast if you really look at from an industry perspective as well, adopting a lot of digital technologies. This is a high-level perspective on what we these are our products and services. If you look at our Olam International, so this is our group company, wherein we have services on at source, more onto global infrastructure and logistics, basically, and then more onto Olam Food Ingredients, which is a complete new business that we set up and demerged entity, which has a focus area on cocoa, coffee, edible nuts, spices. And we have another part of the organization more focused on Olam Agri, more focused on grains, cotton, rice, and trading. So on digital agriculture, right? Basically, as an organization, if you really look at the industry and in the agriculture world, when many organizations starts looking at digital transformation last 2-3 years, I think here is a company which really embarked on this journey, 5 to 6 years back, really setting up a digital vision right under CEO, really focusing on how we can bring value through digital technologies. And as a result, we have multiple, plethora of digital products across, and these are the solutions that I manage. But the team manages globally. More into, all these are pretty much a platform or a product by itself. All the way from more focused on origination solutions around smart farms. We have a solution called Alarm Direct, which brings disintermediation, direct engagement transactions with farmers, especially catering almost 80,000 smallholding farmers who can see their prices of the commodities directly on the app, trading on the app, digital contracts, payment, traceability, everything on an app platform. Couple of other solutions like Agri Central, which is our farmer services platform, which is focused for India, around 6 million plus downloads. One of the got an award last year as well from Google, really about supporting the farmer community. Another solution called Olam Farmer Information, where we have almost 600,000+ farmer information that we collect more on the socioeconomic backgrounds of our farmers, pretty much smallholding farmers, to see with this information what are the sustainability footprint that we have, how we can, with this data that we have, how we can serve the farmers. We come out with farmer development plan, how it helps the community, and really looking at socioeconomic data that we collect, and then that can be provided to our customers as well, wherein we look at what is the sustainability footprint and of our solutions and our products and things. More onto operational things, more about smart factory capabilities and a couple of portals, and towards customer focus is about AtSource, which is actually our sustainability digital platform. Just yesterday we received one more recognition around AtSource that allows our customers to see what is the sustainability footprint of their supply chain, and see which are the farmers, from where do we get the products, and what is the footprint on the ground. E-commerce more onto B2B focus. Olam Market and a couple of Olam Market Bakewell, for example, very much adopted in Africa, and that really scaling very heavily, very fast, especially targeting baking community as well. And underlying all these things are technologies, as I see here, analytics and AI capabilities that spans across our platforms. We have data lake and other platforms completely on cloud that helps to bring values very fast, and really state-of-the-art technologies, focusing on microservices and all to bring how we can enable these integrations and connect very fast. And also about DevSecOps, UI, UX, and all those areas. Very quickly focusing on if I look at all those previous products, these are that has been across our organization. These are very specific to precision agronomy. Just took some examples what we do on the ground. Really about using satellite imagery, drone images to manage our farms. More about monitoring crop health, NDVI, and really about remote assessment of soil moisture, salinity, and what we do is really about uploading all this data into our cloud. We use latest AI engines, and then and to provide this insight to see that for example here what you see is our green farm. What is the percentage of farm that are ready for yield, for example, and this is an image on our orchard in Australia. And what we do is, and it's a truly global company as well. So when we look at it, we get this data maybe from Gabon in Africa. We collect this data, we run this data on the AI engine, and we go back and provide the data insights to our field on the ground to see that what sort of disease, or what is the index? Do we need to do any intervention there? And is there any, what percentage of yield is expected, and things like that. Another example is more about technologies that we use about real-time data capture using IoT sensors and things, also uploaded through apps. And we combine it with SAP and other digital platforms, really bringing about visual interactive dashboard. That helps to bring a single source of truth for us to manage our farms, really about facilitating collaboration and really benchmarking between orchards, and about improved decision making as well. Another interesting example, what you see is the image is basically the almond orchard that we have, is about remote spray and harvesting operations using a remote farm management platform that's deployed across our sprayers and shakers. Really bring, it helps to bring mobile alerts handy during herbicide and other spray applications, and that helps to have a clear visibility on our operations, ensuring that every row has been sprayed. We have an during harvesting season, ensure all the recommended activities has been completed, and then the driver has gone through the pre-assigned path and everything. Similarly, another technology that we use is basically about precision weed management, and near infrared technology is being used on sprayers to detect really the chlorophyll presence and to release the chemicals. Benefits is really about highly precise, reduced use of chemicals, and definitely bringing in cost saving and a much more effective weed management as compared to the traditional approach, and as well as environmental friendly. One more interesting use case that again from our orchard in Australia is about autonomous almond sprayers. We deployed last year. One controller can really operate multiple of these unmanned sprayers, and it can be the program can be completely controlled on laptops. We used to establish all these things, we set up multi connectivity across our huge almost 12,000 hectares of farms. So we had to really set up connectivity and network. And what I understand is also that those network what we set has been shared with the local community as well, so they could also use connectivity through those towers. How it has helped: almost 20% efficiency, significant reduction in the operation cost, and improved productivity and accuracy. Last one actually is about the overall smart farms that I was mentioning earlier. A suite of features that we built on an app is used by our plantations, a couple of plantations globally. More about digitizing attendance, and again drone analytics, field monitoring, disease reporting, and it's all about going paperless and quite accurate data, and also about better yield management. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Shania. I'll just like to invite all our speakers back in. I think everyone's cameras are on. So look, we've a couple of questions to go through. So I'm just going to put the first question in the chat just for reference for all the attendees. I suppose, look, from a digital agriculture perspective, how are the requirements and equipment and data processing different from maybe large scale to smaller scale farms? As we saw there, there's a very wide breadth and a lot of different things you can do. So how does that kind of change for different users from large scale to small scale? We'll probably start with Demetrius, and then we'll get the thoughts from Tom and Shania.
Absolutely. Thank you, Barry. This is actually really critical, really good question, actually, because the digital transformation of agriculture poses the risk of digital divide somehow. For example, between connected and disconnected farms, and economically small and large farms, as you mentioned. But before we go to that, to the architecture, that probably the industry, our industry partners here can really go in more depth, I would say. What we need to consider first, what would be needed, I would say what we have to consider will be the interoperability as a key aspect here. And the need, I would say, for a common standard as a consistent priority. However, there are different understandings of standardization that can be unpacked and discussed here. And a common standard that can be regarded as allowing different data sets of farm metrics from different manufacturers and software packages to be used together with farmers, anonymized data for pre-competitive research into crop production, protection, environmental impacts. Another, I would say, scenario, in another scenario, standardization can be seen as a means of improving farmers' ability to collect and collate data, their own data, and to make data entry easy for them. Just to close, just to sum up, I would say, we can argue whether a standardized system is the best approach, arguing that farmers have the right to be able to move their data from one system to another, and also creating a single platform for everything. This idea may hinder privately built solutions, which are the way to unlock innovation for this sector. Therefore, probably to have a central idea with single platform for everything can hinder really privately built solutions. And to go a step further. In other words, before we talk about architecture, it would be, I would say, very beneficial to talk about the interoperability aspects in digital agriculture.
Yep, very good. I suppose, Tom, if you can add to that, I suppose, from the service side of things.
Yes, I guess in terms of differences between large and small scale farms in terms of digital agricultural equipment, large scale generally have more data available. They've got years of yield map that they can input into models and decision support tools. Smaller scale growers don't normally have that sort of data. So the results they can get from models may be less personalized to their soil types and their geographies. In terms of how, certainly from my experience, where we create variable rate plans and deliver those plans to different farm sizes is very different. So whereas a large farm will again have lots of modern equipment, GPS, they've got the latest screen in the tractor that they can plug those files into or push them up to the cloud and it just arrives in the tractor cab, nice and simple. For a small scale grower that doesn't have all that equipment, just simply being able to put a map onto a mobile phone with Google Earth, so they can view a map while they're driving up and down the field and adjust the inputs manually. Is another way that they can get the benefit from digital agriculture and a precision prescription without having all of the necessary equipment. So differences in terms of how we generate the plans, in terms of the data that goes in, but also that delivery of the plans themselves.
Great. Thank you very much. And Shania?
Yeah, sure. Very interesting question. In fact, I think from when we really look at digital technologies, right? So I'm a tech guy, and we get so excited about IoT and sensors and things that, okay, you have the pool of data, how I can support. And a couple of those examples that I mentioned are from Australia, and that also shows that, being a developed country, you have the infrastructure and things available to connect things and then go fast. We also get excited about technologies. We want to quickly adopt it in other areas, but if you really look at smallholding farmers, especially in developing countries, Africa and all, we do have challenges. One size doesn't fit all. So it's always what we can adopt. Basically, there is a lot of fragmented farming that happens. When it is at scale, you can adopt many of these technologies. Then it's much more fragmented. We find it really challenging, to see. And also the terrains and the network and things. For example, if we have to run those mobile apps in Africa, we have to make sure that they can work completely offline, right? So, and you need to know that, maybe these are all, much more much more illiterate farmers and all the community that we use, the user interface that we create, it need to be quite visible in the harsh conditions and things. So we need to consider, so when we look at the whole global perspective, based on where we support, we need to make sure that we are really supporting that local, understanding the local perspective and then putting the right solution. And that brings a lot of maturity, that brings a lot of challenge, and that also is a great opportunity and exciting for us to support, to cater, all different ways, basically. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. And I suppose to follow that up with a question from the audience, I've just put in the chat. I've simplified it a little, but I suppose what are the speakers' opinions on the connectivity and access to services and software? And I suppose this is in terms of common platforms, whether it's open access data or pay-per-use. I suppose there's so many different things you can use, as Demetrius touched on. I suppose the standard approach would be great, but I suppose from the industry perspective, we'll maybe start with Tom and then Shinoy. How do you see the, I suppose, common platform or open data approach working?
So I think it's started to become more and more open. I think many years ago it was very sort of closed shop in terms of everyone having their own sort of proprietary sort of system, not really sharing that out. Whereas now I think people are a lot more open. Some initiatives such as Ag Gateway Europe, which looks to try and create that standardization across the industry. I think everyone's kind of accepted that no one's going to build everything and be that one provider that provides everything. It's going to take collaboration to really deliver solutions that growers need. So yeah, that common platform and connectivity between different services is definitely improving. So yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose Shinoy, I suppose I've just mentioned we've got a nice multinational a group of speakers. Everyone's dialing in from a different country, so I suppose you're giving a maybe perspective of Asia and Southeast Asia and Australia. So is that a similar approach there? Is there initiatives there?
Yeah, definitely. I was mentioning about our farmer services platform. Like, it's basically used by around 6 million farmers, and they can download directly from Play Store and start using it. Quite a lot of services, free, and you also see, based on mobile adoption, smartphone phone adoptions globally as well, and data becoming really cheap as well. So you see much more adoption of these technologies. Quite a lot of discussions. People are looking for market watch, basically about the prices, and agronomy support, and also people really reaching it. I think the more the connectivity increase, you also see that we are able to provide those services on the ground as well. And being, pretty much the cloud solutions available, right? Almost all the leaders in the cloud platforms also helps us to connect and basically scale very fast. So I think definitely we see the scalability is much more faster, and there are opportunities to scale also much better than what it used to be.
Yeah.
One brief comment, Barry. I mean, in line with the other speakers, but what I would like to add here, probably we need to also address issues of privacy protection, intellectual property rights here, isn't it? And the use of farm-related data. Who owns, who origins the data, who is the contractor, and so on. I mean, aspects that should be considered in open access platforms as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I suppose some of that is covered with maybe European funding projects, where I suppose open access and data sets is an increasing item where people have to make these things available as part of their research funding, so they can kind of share the experience. But maybe that then helps with the final question, just a final thought from everybody. How can we create greater adoption of precision farming and agriculture? So if we start with Demetrius and we do a quick round.
Yeah, I would say here the extension services, I would say, can play a significant role. Advisors to work together with the farmers, as a quick comment.
Okay, very good. And Tom?
Very simply, simplification of the tools and ability to demonstrate benefits more clearly, I think.
And Shinoy?
More on easy access to ecosystem and easy access to infrastructures and services, basically.
Well, very good. I think It's great. We've our three speakers are almost promoting the Advanced Center modules with their answers. So I suppose simplicity in message, increase the knowledge, and I suppose access to the services. So look, great that everyone's in agreement anyway. And look, I'd like to thank three speakers for their very interesting talks today. The recording will be available afterwards for anyone who wants to look back over, or anyone who missed it. So look, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much and have a good weekend.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Have a nice
Thank you very
weekend.
much. Bye.
Thank you.